into Dragon Warrior 1, the original Nintendo game randomizer, because I watch, some randomizer players here, Dragon Warrior randomizer players here on Twitch. And I don't know, I've been wanting to create a whole bunch of. So my goal is to create basically at least one of every type of game, so I can get the experience of creating it in GameMaker Studio 2 or whatever IDE I end up using. But you know, uh, a big one is jrpgs. I love the good old rpgs where you're on a world map and you're walking around and you randomly hit stuff. I love those, and I love the classic ones. I actually don't like the newer ones, like the newer Final Fantasies, like where it's too visual. Like I like simplicity in that, and I actually like shortness. So I'm a big fan of the original. Well, simplicity, if not shortness, because I'm a big fan of the original Dragon Warrior, the original Final Fantasy, and as that number goes up to those franchises, I get interested less and less. So I really want to create a game that is very much like the original Dragon Warrior, maybe a little bit more involved, but really this very very similar idea. But I think of what gives a lot more life to, say, a game like Dragon Warrior is randomization. Seeing people play the randomizer and how it randomizes the overworld. It doesn't randomize the towns and everything else, but it places them in different places. I think that would be cool to program a game that's built from the ground up to be like that. And maybe randomizes the towns too. I don't know. Depends on how randomy I want to get. But I've been experimenting with that idea and seeing how I can accomplish that. So there was actually, so let's take a look. I'll just go ahead and fire it up. So I'm currently working on trying to create a realistic, quote unquote, uh, overworld that's randomly generated on play, and theoretically it will be saved off for that particular game file or whatever, that save file. But right now it's just, of course, random every time I start it up because I just started this. No save functionality, but I want it to be where you can walk around. The purple square is the player, and right now you just start off in the upper left-hand corner of the map, so it's like in the ocean. But theoretically, it won't do that in the future. I need to create some smart controls. And again, it's running a little slow because things always run a little slower. Um, when I'm previewing the build of a game inside GameMaker Studio, because GameMaker Studio requires a huge amount of memory to just run, and I'm also, when I'm streaming, it tends to slow down too. So I apologize that it's a little laggy. It isn't this laggy otherwise. In fact, I optimized the algorithm I got. So I actually got this world making algorithm, and let's see if I can reduce it down both for speed, efficiency, and so that you can see kind of what we're working with. So let me go into the objects. So I got this from an asset. I think it's called Procedural Map Generator on the assets marketplace. Actually, I can check out right now. Let's check my library. Let's see, where is it? A procedural terrain generator. That's what I ended up doing. So it actually creates a little map like that. It creates all these other maps too, which was overkill for my sake. I actually got rid of all those drawing events and just focus on, the sort of important one, which is the map itself. Because I'm going to write over all these little colors. I'm using these colors as reference points. But anyway, let me open up the appropriate window here, and we'll reduce this down to 8. Now, to be quite honest, this might break my game because I did think I hard-coded the zoom somewhere else too, but we'll take a peek. So this will basically create, each one of those squares will be much smaller, and we should be able to see more of the world. That's the goal here. Because I do want to show you that what this looks like kind of on a zoomed out grand scale. And in the game itself, I might have the ability to zoom out. I might have a mini map. Haven't really decided yet. Okay, so that just kind of messes it up. That's unfortunate. Let's see here. Okay, I have it in draw. Yeah, so I did an optimization, and this is where I've kind of hard coded things, so it's a little messed up. But I'll just do. So it's going to be overkill, but what's my viewport size? 640, 360. Oh, that makes sense. All right, so this is going to be overkill, but hopefully we'll be able to see the whole map. Anyway, so I may have a mini map too, so people can figure out where they go. I'm not really sure, because I may require people to kind of draw their own map, so it's like you're kind of forced to explore a little bit more. And we'll talk about the optimization I did, because out of the box, and actually this part of this optimization is why I kind of messed it up. Or why when I changed the zoom, I hard-coded these values. Okay, there we go. So now, of course, my character is still gigantic, so just ignore that for a moment. But as you can see, it generates this like perfect little island, and you can set the level, the sea level, because I feel like some of this is wasted space. But I'd like to create a pretty big world that people can explore, but I want to keep it contained to more or less one island. And this is my silly little sprite for plains, which I overwrote for the sand, so that's why it looks like that. So this would be beach otherwise. So it's a different color. So I guess ignore that. Well, let's get rid of that too, just for the sake of showing off. Yeah, so I'm drawing a sprite because I'm experimenting with putting down sprites in these places so I can actually have a nice sprite-looking type map with actual tile set as opposed to just, random. But I want the character, the player, to be able to walk around this island. And there's a few different JRPGs I would like to do. Like I'd like to do a standard. In fact, this one I've called like Slime Grinder, just because it's what first came to mind when I thought of like Dragon Warrior and you just grinding on slimes to level up. Like have a game that is very standard. Like I gotta go. So this is what it looks like. That's what the sand looks like. So, and when I hit enter, it should generate unless I broke the functionality, which I may have. Yep, there we go. So I'm only leaving this for now so I can test different arrangements, but you can actually have the world redraw itself. I'm only leaving this functionality in so I can show you, and I myself can get more experience with the different kinds of. Ooh, that's a cool map. But it'll be really fun if there's like a different map every time that you can explore. Now I'm going to have to put some logic in there for putting down the tiles. Probably initially, I'm just going to have a nice looking tile per biome essentially. So the sand and the water, the mountains, everything like that. I'm probably going to have hills. I'm not going to follow the exact biomes I have here because they have jungle and forest. I'll probably just keep it like forest and turn the jungle into swamp or something more standard, like or more familiar from a game like Dragon Warrior. It'd be nice if I could create. It would take a lot more logic to figure out where to put. Like if I have like just a plain tile, like a plain as in like grassland tile set that I put all along here, to try to get ones that are edge perfect would be weird to have a little bit of that 3 dimensions because then I'm going to have to calculate. Okay, you got to have one that's, like a typical tile set. Like these are going to look different from the one on the corner, and the inside corner are going to look different. So that would take some calculation, not impossible, but it would definitely be like the world is generated, and then I need to like place those specific I have to like go through the world again and analyze each little spot and figure out not only the type of tiles that I need to put down, but which shape. Is it inside corner? Is it an outside corner? Is it a peninsula like end? So that's all like stuff that would pretty much blow my mind. But definitely we could do it. I'm probably not going to start out there, but if I'm like, oh, I really want to make this map look a lot nicer, I may have to figure it out. Because ideally, I'm only going to generate this once per save file, but then I need to think of a way of effectively. I have to make this as efficient as possible because the problem is I have to draw this just the way, just the way games work. There's a draw event every single frame. So I've got to essentially redraw this massive thing. And that's where I had to make this more efficient, the code, because the code by default, that's being slow on me. Close. Close. All right. Yeah. I need a computer with more memory if I'm going to stream and program at the same time. But in any case, so right out of the box, this code. Oh man, don't die on me. So right out of the box, this code was. Actually, I should probably close Google if anything here. Save some memory. All right, so hopefully that updated my stream info. If not, oh well, probably all of you have come here looking for Hollow Knight, and there's no Hollow Knight. So there's some efficiency that I had to do because in a world that was, a good size, like it defaults to 100 by 100, your world's 100 by 100. And all this code, I think, kind of assumes a world that is square. So I'm just going to kind of go with that for now. But putting up to 150 by 150 or 200 by 200, the world gets huge. And it's having to go through these calculations many times. It basically is looping through each X and Y value to find those spots and like redraw it every single thing. Because this is a draw event. It's happening every single time the screen is updating. So that's a lot. So I actually created a thing where I calculate, and this is still a little buggy in the process. That's why I had hard-coded values there. But I basically am having it only loop through and draw. And you can actually see here, I'm actually counting how many frames it goes up to in its loops, or how many times it's looping around. It has to loop around. And, this gets up to 8,000. I had it down much lower in my original implementation. I had it to like only 200 because I perfectly had it only, instead of rendering all 98,000 of those damn squares, it would only do the ones that are actually in the viewport, which is an absolute necessity. Because what's the point of rendering in every draw event, every single spot on the map, if the player's only one little section? So it only did that section. So that I had that working, but then I ended up changing how I was doing things, so I broke that awesomeness. So now I'm trying to recapture it. So the reason why I broke it is because originally I was controlling the movement of the character by not moving the character or the camera, but by moving the map underneath it. But I realized that might cause issues. It may be better to leave the map where it is and actually move the character and the camera to follow the character. So I have the camera just set to follow the character in a really basic way. But I'm still unsure about that because it was kind of nice to just move the whole map underneath the character, because really the character and the character is always in the middle of the camera. The camera and the character don't really move. And it had the exact same effect. And I had gotten efficiency-wise down to where it was only looping through about 200-something times instead of 98,000, which significantly increased the efficiency. I'm getting like 8,000 now, which is not great. But again, I think I can bring that closer to what I had it before I started messing with everything. So that's pretty much it. So what would I do with this game? So there's a few types of games I like to do. Like I said, a classic Dragon Warrior type of game, absolutely. Fantasy, high fantasy. Have it pretty chill, probably have it very self-referential and little satirical, I suppose, but out of love. And I would also like to do maybe an island survival set up like a JRPG, perhaps, where when you're walking around, random events happen that aren't just fights. So I grew up with a BBS, a bulletin board system game called Legend of the Red Dragon, and I would like to capture that in a game, which I haven't really seen a lot of, where you do have like these random encounters, but sometimes they're not monsters. Sometimes they're good things. Sometimes they're random puzzles, and I would like to include that in a game. So I'm thinking like even in the Dragon Warrior one, random encounters are not all bad, and et cetera, et cetera. And then I'd probably have spots on the map where it's a guaranteed random event of some kind. Like it's either guaranteed monster, guaranteed non-monster, and I would create different kinds of events that would happen. Now, what did the fights look like? I'm not really sure. I haven't really figured that all out. If it's just going to be kind of a Dragon Warrior where nothing moves, or if it's a Final Fantasy where you see your character on the battlefield, but you don't move them around. I'd probably stick with something like that. Very turn-based, very simple, straightforward. But I can see a game like classic Dragon Warrior, maybe like a survival, like island survival JRPG in a sense. Um, and I don't know, maybe a zombie apocalypse because I've always wanted to create a zombie apocalypse game, uh, but it seems like every single one that exists tends to be kind of live action. Um, I mean, it's RPG in a sense, but it tends to be very live action. So there's zombies running around, and I could see the appeal of that, and probably want that, but at the same time, I don't know. Maybe something can be done in a more JRPG format. I think that might be very interesting to try. So, uh, yeah. So I think I would like to try that because I can picture some really interesting things. Like I think that the thing that's lost is that in a live action, you can see how many zombies there are, and I think that's part of the thrill because that's part of the appeal of zombie movies too. That overwhelming feeling of like, oh my goodness, there's like a billion zombies out there, and I might be able to capture that in RPG if I make, it could just have the encounter rate higher if there's more zombies around, but I think the visual is important, so I might actually have like little encounter monsters that walk around. Um, uh, kind of like in Legend of Zelda 2, you know, uh, that you can actually see. There's like the tough monster and the weak monster, the little silhouettes. But anyway, I'm just really babbling at this point. I want to share these two games because I'm really excited about them. I have not given up on Goth Girl Metroidvania, but I am reconsidering some things. I might be moving away from pixel art to do some more high definition sprites. Um, because I don't know, I'm not 100% sold on the sprites, so that's something I still need to figure out. But we can talk about that in another video, another stream. I just wanted to share that real quick. If you're new to my channel, please be sure to subscribe. Uh, New to my YouTube channel, please be sure to subscribe. If you're new to my Twitch channel, I'd really appreciate a follow. Certainly means a lot to me. So in any case, thank you so much for watching, and as always, thank you for joining me on this journey.